Hey everyone, Tony D and Little Joan here, with a hot take with my old boss, Bill Maher. Now, I have discovered I've been getting flagged a lot at YouTube, so I'm trying not to get flagged anymore. I would think that analyzing videos, reaction videos, I see other people do it. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what I'm doing wrong. I think sometimes I guess I watch the video a little too much and I don't say anything. If I don't interrupt it enough and stop it enough, I guess that's why I get flagged. I'm not really sure. So, anyhow, I've got a lot of flags on me that I'm trying to get off. So, I came up with this deal. I noticed that there's a transcript. YouTube has a transcript for the video. So this is Bill Maher's recent new rule, the very controversial new rule, and I just wanted to go through it, and I can read it on the transcript, and you could look at his picture and imagine his voice. I don't think I could really do Bill Maher. No, probably not. Um, but I'm going to read the transcript, and we'll talk about it a little bit. All right. And finally, new rule: you can't yell at someone for breaking a rule you just made up. Scientists, yes, scientists, are generally pretty liberal, have been naming diseases after the places they came from for a very long time. Zika is from the Zika forest, Ebola from the Ebola River, Hantavirus is the Hantine River. There's the West Nile virus, the guinea worm, and Rocky Mountain spotted fever, and of course, the Spanish flu. MERS stands for Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. It's plastered all over the airports now, and no one blogs about it. So why would China get a pass? Why would China get a pass? There's no punctuation on the transcript. Sorry. Congressman Ted Lieu tweeted the virus is not constrained by country or race just because as stupid it's stupid to call the Milan virus. Huh? The transcript's not that great. um, so Ted Lieu's very woke congressman, about as woke as you can get without being like kind of AOC. He's always posting something on Twitter. So he's quoting him. Ted Lieu tweeted, "The virus is not constrained by country or race. Just as stupid to call it the Milan virus. No, that would be way stupider because it didn't come from along, and if it did, I guess we'd be calling it the Milan virus." Jesus freaking Christ. We can't even have a pandemic without getting offended. When they name Lyme disease after a town in Connecticut, the locals didn't get all ticked off. Ticked off, seriously. It scares me that there are people there who would rather die from the virus than call it by the wrong name. This isn't about vilifying a culture. This is about facts. It's about life and death. We're barely 4 months into this pandemic, and the wet markets in China, the ones where exotic animals are sold and consumed, are already starting to reopen. The PC police say it's racist to attack any cultural practice that's different than our own. I say liberalism lost its way when it started thinking like that and pretended that forcing a woman to wear this, I think he shows a burqa, was just a different way instead of an abhorrent human rights violation. Let's see if I can get that picture up. Yeah, there's the wet market. Yeah, the burqa. It's an abhorrent human rights violation. It's not racist to point out eating bats is batshit crazy. In 2007, researchers at the University of Hong Kong wrote the presence of large reservoir of SARS-CoV like viruses in horseshoe bats, together with a culture of eating exotic animals in southern China, is a time bomb. It's true. Now, let me get Bill's eyes open here. Oh, there's the bats. There we go. Dr. Fauci says, oh, wow. The way they spell Fauci in this transcript is Foulqi. So I'm pretty sure he says Dr. Fauci says we should force a global closure of the wet markets because the current crisis is a, quote, direct result of them. On Monday, the UN's acting head of biodiversity said the same thing when someone says, what if people hear Chinese virus and blame China? The answer is we should blame China, not Chinese Americans, but we can't stop telling the truth because racists get the wrong idea. There are always going to be idiots out there who want to indulge in prejudices, but this is an emergency. Don't we have bigger tainted fish to fry? Jesus, if the sun was exploding, Twitter would pile on the first guy who called it a dwarf star. Ha! That was pretty good. Pretty good joke. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely got a point here. He's a little late on the uptick. I would have loved to have seen him defend Trump on this, because Trump was the guy who insisted on calling it the Chinese virus or the Wuhan virus. He had no problem with doing that. And really, if you had a different president even another Republican who backed off of that or stopped calling it the Chinese virus and started calling it whatever, I think you would have seen, the media back off of it too. And the ironic thing is, of course, the media called it the Chinese virus and the Wuhan virus early on. Had no problem with it. It was like, oh, we're going to make a thing out of this. Oh, better stop doing that. Sorry, Americans. We're going to have to ask you to keep two ideas in your head at the same time. This has nothing to do with Asian Americans. It has everything to do with China. We can't afford the luxury anymore of non-judging as towards a country with habits that kill millions of people everywhere. Yeah, that's very true. It's very true. I'm glad Bill is drilling down into this. It seems like a good monologue here. Because this isn't the first time SARS came from China, and the bird flu and the Hong Kong flu and the Asian flu viruses come from China, like shortstops come from the Dominican Republic. If they were selling nuclear suitcases at these wet markets, would we be so non-judgmental? And isn't this pretty close to what they are selling? And the next one could be even worse. If the Chinese military had purposely infected the country with corona beer virus as a bioweapon, we'd be at war with them. We're always griping about how China manipulates their currency. Well, I'm no monetary expert, but I think you would agree this one hurt our economy a little more than the currency manipulation. And China can do this. China once built a 57-story skyscraper in 19 days. There's been a pothole on my street for 19 years. They're not like us. They can actually get it done. This is a dictatorship that for decades enforced a one-child per family policy under penalty of forced sterilization, but you can't close down the farmers market from hell. Yeah, that's another great point. This is not a cultural boundary. This is, it wasn't a cultural thing to do that thing with the kids, right? Food is culture. Certain customs, way of saying hello and goodbye, and the way you run your household, that's culture. Religion is culture. These things are all little details. Those are culture. The way they run their government and their military, that's not culture. The way they run policy and laws, some of that's influenced by culture, but it's not culture on its surface. To eliminate all criticism, again, this all goes back to virtue signaling of the woke. They're just so anxious to call anybody racist. They will concoct almost any excuse to do so. And they are going after Bill for this, of course. Even though Bill really is, he's pretty woke. I mean, he's probably the least woke of the woke, I'll say. He's very liberal. But at least he's willing to criticize his own, eventually. He didn't come out and support Trump when he said it, but I wouldn't expect him to. Continuing. They need to use that iron fist and pound it down like the whole world depends on it, because it kind of does. Oh, let me get on here again. Why? There we go. Oh, you're killing me. Oh, we're at the end. Because it kind of does, and I hope that if someone told Americans that eating Hot Pockets could cause a worldwide pandemic, that we would have the good sense to stop doing it, although I wouldn't bet on it. You. I guess that's it. I guess it got cut off. Yeah. So, Bill makes some excellent points here. And now, of course, Twitter is going after him. Jack Dorsey. Hey, wake up, guy. Look at this. I mean, is he not making sense? Is he not making total sense? Is he not one of your own? Okay? Can you stop the censorship on Twitter? Because if you had not censored Twitter, there would have been plenty of people on it saying, shut up. Shut up, you moron. You don't know what you're talking about. That's what people would say on Twitter. Okay? Bill is making some excellent points here. He's making total sense. It's just common sense. It's just common sense. You know, that Tim Pool pointed this out, and I remember seeing the press conference where a reporter actually, started asking about this stupid name of the virus. Oh, is it right to call it the Chinese virus? Oh, people are offended. First off, I think she's lying. I don't think she knows one person that's offended. Maybe she went on Twitter and saw some tweets, but I don't think she actually is, like, in her personal experience, talking to people and go, oh, God, I'm so offended. I'm so offended by the Chinese virus term. Like, this is just manufactured outrage for her to get clicks. And the reason she asked it in the White House press briefing, a place that's supposed to be about policy, about important matters, is because she's desperate to get her headline, to get her clickbaity headline that says, President refuses to call, President says Chinese virus isn't racist. How can a racist president blah, 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 blah. This is the way the media has acted today. It's scraping the bottom of the barrel. And in my view, people like this should be chastised, and if they don't stop this sort of nonsense, they should be fired. Instead, what do we have? We have Bill Maher, who's made a perfectly good, cutting-edge kind of monologue. It's got some funny moments in it. Not super funny, because God forbid you do any comedy anymore. But he's got salient points. He's being the philosopher comedian here, and he's questioning authority. Most importantly, he's questioning the status quo, the current groupthink, and you should always do that. There's nothing wrong with questioning it. If you turn around and turns out, I don't know, the entire name was some sort of race baiting thing created by some racist organization, well, he's perfectly capable of coming out and said, well, I was wrong about that. But I don't think that's the case. I think he's making a salient point that we should be more concerned with more important things than language. People who are constantly looking to control the language, they're not looking to really do anything other than control you. Those who control the past control the future. Those who control the future, those who control the past control the future. And what's the other thing? Those who control the language control everything, really. Forget the Orwell quote. Or was it Rage Against the Machine? Or was it both? Anyhow, glad to see my old boss is still making trouble for people, because that's what comedians should do. Keep at it, Bill. Good luck to you.